As we welcome back our co-hosts, he is a New York Times best-selling author, Mr. John Gilstrap.
Good morning. I really like those segments. I like talking with entrepreneurs.
They are difficult to pronounce, but easy to interview.
Entrepreneur.
Voice belongs to Mr. John Doyle. He is a former member of the House of Delegates, Vietnam War veteran. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everybody.
Great to have you with us. Yes, this has been, I think, the most extensive interviewing process with the Build Up Berkeley contestants in the past. I think we've had a couple of them on. I think Jennifer has made a strong attempt to try to get everybody on this year, and they've all had very interesting stories. I think there's that point in your life where, whether it's running for office like you did, John Doyle, or deciding to finally write the book like you did, John Gilstrap, where you're just kind of willing to, break out of what the normal and traditional life is that you thought you had and give it a shot. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, you probably think to yourself, this is the time to do it. If I don't do it now, I'll never do it. And if I never do it, I might regret it when I'm older. And you just kind of roll the dice and take the shot at it.
I think that's the question, is to project out, especially when you're younger, to project out when you're older and think, how am I going to feel if I look back when I'm 60 and I didn't try this when I was 20?
I had that moment myself when I was, I think, 26 years old. I had done this until I was 22, 23. Then I left it for a sales position, try to make more money and try to come back to this business from a management perspective. And the plan that I thought I had didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. And I had this radio station that was in my sales territory, and every time I went by it, I would look and go, I wonder what they're doing in there. I wish I was in there doing it with them. Then finally one day I'm just like, I was 26. We didn't have kids yet. I'm like, if I'm going to do this, this is the time to get back into this business. And eventually it worked out. It took a little, but eventually it worked out.
Yeah.
Now, we've reached that part of our program where it's time for some John on John crime. And we have Mr.
You need to come up with some kind of eerie theme music for that.
I'm working on it.
I figured you are.
It's got to happen organically. I don't want to force it. So Mr. Gilstrap went first last week, so now it is Mr. Doyle's time to lead off the program.
Okay. Mike Johnson of Louisiana is the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives. And I've been trying to figure him out for some time. First of all, let me point out that I think the news media, all of it, the mainstream, the fringe, on every fringe, is to some degree misrepresenting what is going on right now with the federal government. It's referred to as a government shutdown. Actually, it's only the executive branch that is shut down. All the courts are all the federal courts are operating. The Congress is supposed to be operating. So it's the executive branch that is being shut down due to the inability to agree on what's called the continuing resolution, which is to fund the executive branch. Well, anyway, but Speaker Johnson has taken the approach that since the government is shut down, he should send the House of Representatives home. And they've not met for almost a month now. Other than in perfunctory meetings, they come in each day and somebody moves, they adjourn till the next day, and then that's it. It takes about a minute or two to do that. The Senate, however, is in session. And in fact, some of the House committees are in session. I believe they're not allowed to report bills out to the floor. They're allowed to conduct hearings and stuff like that. So it's like defined shutdown. And he's basically said, we don't want you doing any work on the floor. And he's told everybody to go home. And many of the Republicans have. Some of the Democrats have gone home. I think because of this impasse with the executive branch, it is incumbent upon both houses of Congress to stay at work and try and figure out how to solve it. I think one could argue that the House of Representatives not being in session is perhaps at least a minor cause in the continuation of the shutdown. But at any rate, we can argue about that. Now, why has he done this? The speculation is the Epstein files. And the reason I say that is he has refused to seat Adelita Grijalva, who was elected to the U.S. Congress at least 2 weeks ago from Arizona, to the seat that her father had, Raul Grijalva, who died. She was elected, and he has refused to swear her in. First he said, we can swear her in anytime she wishes. Then he said, oh, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to swear her in until the government opens again. Well, in these perfunctory meetings, at least twice in the past 3 months, he has sworn in Republicans who were elected in situations like this to replace people who had died or left within 2 or 3 days after they were elected. And he's done them in perfunctory meetings where you just gavel in, gavel out. Now he's saying he can't do that. So the speculation is that it's Epstein, because once Grijalva is sworn in, she will be the 218th vote on the resolution sponsored by the Democrat Ro Khanna from California and the Republican Thomas Massie from Kentucky, which says we want the entire files open. So I understand why he wants to do this. It very possibly been leaned on by President Trump. I don't know. But I understand if that's his motivation, I understand it. But for heaven's sake, the Congress is supposed to be at work. Now they're being paid. They're being paid, and actually this is legitimate because the way the salary schedule works, and it works in most legislative bodies, whatever the salary is, you're paid at least some of it while you're not working, because the presumption is that part of your work is interacting with constituents. And that's okay. I don't mind that, except this is a period of time that was set aside for them to be in D.C. solving problems, not a period of time when they were assigned to be out on the hustings speaking with constituents. So I think, and this is the first time any Speaker of the House has done this. Not Paul Ryan, not John Boehner, not Kevin McCarthy, not Tip O'Neill, not Nancy Pelosi, not Carl Albert, not Joe Martin, not Sam Rayburn, not even Newt. I forgot a couple of them.
I know. I just impressed. Carl Albert, my goodness. Okay.
Of Oklahoma. Yeah. Jim Wright of Texas. I forgot Jim Wright. And at any rate, not even Newt Gingrich, who was the fellow who started this nonsense that if you're my political opponent, you're my enemy. Not even Newt Gingrich would refuse to immediately swear in a newly elected Democrat. So I just want to call Speaker Johnson on the carpet for not doing his job and preventing 433 other House members from doing their job.
Do you have a retort, Mr. Gilstrap?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not so much a retort. I think an explanation. I want to set the Epstein file. There are two things here. Okay, so first there's the shutdown or the furlough of the House of Representatives. They did their job. They passed a budget, and they sent it on to the Senate that's not doing their job. They did. I mean, they passed it. They have a majority vote on the budget, but they couldn't get cloture is not there. So the Democrats are blocking the budget from being passed. So the Republican House has done the work of the people, and the Republican part of the Senate has done the work of the people. It's the Democrat roadblock in the Senate that's preventing the work of the people from being done. Now, when you say it's only the executive branch that is being shut down, okay, fine. But the executive branch is the only part of the government that really interacts with the people unless you're under arrest. So
no, Congress people do.
Well, okay, but nobody cares about them. I mean,
okay.
For the regular people,
I do, but that's okay, yeah, John.
But for the regular people going up and down the roads and that sort of thing, or flying in the skies, I think it's absurd that we're to this point. I think that the will of the people is clear. I think that the blockage, the constipation of the Senate is just terrible. I think that Chuck Schumer is so terrified of AOC primarying him that he's willing to stretch this shutdown as long as it's going to go. I don't see a point of compromise in it. I really don't. I mean, what's he going to do? What's the it's a clean bill. It's what Schumer has already approved, and now he's suddenly opposed to it. So I see this going for a long time. And from the point of view of a regular citizen, I don't care. Having the government not in session, it just doesn't affect the average citizen. And so I don't think there's a lot of pressure for it to end. I think it's silly. I think it's childish, but it's Congress. Of course it's silly, and of course it's childish, because that's what they do. Now, on the Epstein files, I think that is, I have a theory that's different. If there was a smoking gun for Trump or against Trump, or whatever it would have been. The Epstein files have been there for a long time. That smoking gun would have been produced a long time ago. I don't think it's there. As far as the files being produced, I don't know why they're not. I have a theory. The part of it, and I don't understand, I don't pay a lot of attention to this because I don't care, but some element of this has been blocked by the courts, right? I mean, the grand jury testimony and all of that is still locked up. So that's never going to be released, I think, if I understand properly. But there are some other elements that apparently are being deliberately withheld. I think that the Republicans are letting the Democrats get so invested in this and getting so far out over their skis that this is becoming their sole drumbeat into the election, and then let the revelation come out that there's either nothing there or that it's all about Democrat oligarchs, and let the embarrassment go their way. That's my guess. But I don't know. I don't know the unknown any more than you do. I think the whole thing is ridiculous.
I don't know very many Democrat oligarchs.
All of them. Name one billionaire other than Musk who's a Republican. You got Bezos. You got
Bezos is Republican.
He contributes huge amounts.
Not anymore. He fired all the liberals on the Washington Post editorial page.
He balanced the Washington Post editorial page.
Oh, no, it was balanced before. I read it every day.
You've got Gates. You've got...
who?
Bill Gates, the guy...
Yeah, he is a Democrat.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
what's Warren Buffett?
He's a Democrat, too.
Is he?
But I'm sorry. I do know a couple, but most of them are. Zuckerberg is now a Republican.
Zuckerberg is a chameleon.
They're Republicans of convenience.
Well, sure.
All these people are right now.
That is true. Some
Zuckerberg
of them are. Bezos probably is
for
too.
4 years.
Well, no, I don't think Bezos. No, when he sent this letter out to everybody, no opinions will be permitted on the editorial page of the Washington Post unless they support capitalism and free enterprise. And that's when he didn't really fire them. He basically said, I'm offering you a very generous buy-up, but if you don't take it, you're fired. So anyway, but I got distracted on that. The one thing I will push back very strongly on what you said, John Gilstrap, is that the House has done its job. It has done its job for now on the continuing resolution. There are hundreds of bills sitting there that they could be working on.
But the Senate won't move on it. The Senate can't move on it.
No. There are hundreds of bills that the House could be working on while the Senate is deliberating the continuing resolution. But instead, they're just not at work.
What would be the point?
The point would be to get them ready. So as soon as the impasse is resolved, they can then start churning out bills that they have worked on and debated. And,
I think if you want to ensure that there aren't future shutdowns or whatever the appropriate terminology should be for this, have the people who are elected live by the same rules that the people they are affecting live by, which is you don't get paid till the government reopens, and you don't get your per diem. And then when the government reopens, you can get all your back pay, and you can get all your back per diem. put the same financial constraints on those who are elected as they're putting on the people who work.
I agree.
Period. End of story. Now,
I think there's some constitutional issues there, but I agree.
well, we don't really care about the Constitution so much. Constitution is very optional.
Okay. See, I was going to agree with you and say what John Gilstrap said, that there might be a constitutional problem. It probably could be worked around. Mm-hmm. I'm serious. You probably could write the rules in such a way that there were enough safeguards. But when you said, who cares about the Constitution?
We don't care about
you lost me.
No, we don't. It's optional. That is optional.
All right.
All right, on to Mr. Gilstrap.
Yes.
All right. I wanted to go into this whole notion. We kind of touched on it last week. The word fascist has been thrown around a lot in terms of this administration being a fascistic administration. So I decided I wanted to look this up, and specifically with regard to the Trump administration. So I found an article that was written in it was published in the New America, dated October 30th, 2024. So it was in the run-up to the election. It was written by a fellow named Peter Bergen, and it's called, "Is Trump Really a Fascist? Examining the Controversial Claim." So I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll read the setup here. I consulted Anatomy of Fascism by Robert O. Paxton, a leading historian of fascist leaders and movements. Paxton's 2004 book offers something of a handy checklist of what makes for a fascist movement and its leader, one that's still relevant to 2 decades later. Several of these attributes seem to apply to Trump and Trumpism as well. That's his setup. So here are the elements. 1, cultivates a sense of overwhelming crisis beyond the reach of traditional solutions. 2, exhibits the superiority of the leader's instincts over abstract and universal reason. 3, ascribes to the belief that one's group is a victim, a sentiment that justifies any action without legal or moral limits against its enemies. And 4, promotes the beauty of violence and efficacy of will when they are devoted to the group's success. Okay? I know that's a lot of words. That's a word salad. However, so here we go, one at a time. Cultivates a sense of overwhelming crisis beyond the reach of traditional solutions. Under the Biden administration, the number one threat to the Constitution was white supremacy. The number one threat to the world was not the oppression of international terrorism or of Russia. It was climate change. How many times do we hear about the danger of MAGA Republicans and how they're trying to tear down the nation? Laws had to be created, or laws had to be bent in order to, it had to be created out of whole cloth in order to put Trump in jail so that Trump could not run for the presidency. We're creating a sense of overwhelming crisis beyond the reach of traditional solutions, so we create non-traditional solutions. 2, exhibits a superiority of the leader's instincts over abstract and universal reason. Under the Biden administration, there could be only one scientific conclusion. If we didn't agree with Fauci, you were not speaking science. Viruses could only spread in churches, but they could not spread in bars. They could not spread among politicians in fancy restaurants. They could spread among regular people if there are too many of them in a neighbor's living room. You needed a vax passport to your government loyalty papers. Let me see, you have papers? You had to have your vax passport to leave your house or to keep your job. One has to, another point, you have to ascribe to the belief that one's group is a victim, a sentiment that justifies any action without legal or moral limits against its enemies. Under the Biden administration, and actually this started with the Obama administration, a hyper focus on identity politics, emphasis on race. Color meant more than competence. The first thing, those administrations saw color first. They saw sexual identity first. We get into the whole entire woke movement, the madness of that, the 10 years of that madness. And if you countered it, you were canceled. Your Facebook account was canceled. You were censored. And finally, we promote the beauty of violence and the efficacy of will when they are devoted to the group's success. Violence is beautiful as long as you achieve your goals. We've discussed this several times on here. We've got Maxine Waters, never let a Republican have a peaceful meal. Remember that drumbeat? We've got the Antifa riots. We've got the attacks on SCOTUS justices. We've got the attack on Charlie Kirk. We've got the attack on the Republican baseball games. We've got a lot of violence going on. So, taking all of this, tell me how, if this is our definition of fascism, tell me how the Biden administration was not the fascist administration.
You're blaming the Biden administration.
I'm blaming the left.
You said Biden administration.
I am, because this is blaming the Trump administration. It's so equal. When I think Biden, I'm also when I blame Biden, I'm also blaming Obama because of the same administration.
Okay, well, I'm confused now, but that's okay. I get confused easily. Much of what you say is true. But but there are a whole lot of things that are really unconnected to each other, which occurred during the period of time when Obama was president and Biden was president. Similar things occurred when Trump is president. Every administration overreaches and thinks its ideas are the ones that the country absolutely must accept. And this is why it is critical for the U.S. Congress to get out of this attitude that I have to support the president of my party and go back to what the founders thought the Congress should do and simply be jealous of the prerogatives of the Congress, regardless of who was president. I think that is a lot of the problem we've got that we have now, is we have people in Congress of both parties who seem to take the attitude, I got to support my president no matter what, and stop thinking. So, and in terms of Antifa isn't even an organization.
It is an organization. It's got chapters. It's got a book on what is it? The Rutgers University professor wrote a book on the Antifa handbook.
Yeah, but a lot of that was just cobbled together. I mean, it's
an organization.
If you want to call it an organization, it's the loosest organization I've ever heard of. And they don't go organizing things. They show up periodically. But at any rate,
pick up trucks full of bricks.
No. Much of the violence that has occurred that you blame on Antifa occurred because people who disagreed with them showed up and provoked the violence. We have to condemn violence no matter where it happens, yes, no matter who it comes from. And so I think it is possible for any of us to lose track of reason and think in terms that I would call fascistic. Certainly, it's easy to do that, which is why we need to guard against it. And it can come from the left, it can come from the right.
But it's coming from the left.
And the right.
Not now.
Oh, yeah, sure it is.
Not now. The right won. The right now has ideas. The right is now succeeding.
They're putting their foot on the neck of the left and saying, you've got to do what we want. Your opinion isn't even tolerated.
Your opinion was rejected. Shut up.
No,
it's a whole different thing.
No. We have elections every 2 years
I
in this
understand,
country.
and it might shift the other way. But right now, the Republicans are saying the people have decided to be quiet.
Just because you lose an election doesn't mean you're silenced.
No.
There are a whole lot of people in the Trump administration that think the left needs to be silenced, and they're saying so. Stephen Miller is saying so. A number of others are saying so. When Pete Hegseth says, we're not going to allow the press to cover the Pentagon anymore. This is...
okay, well, you got me on that. I disagree. Yeah. I totally disagree with you.
Yeah, but
I don't disagree with your point. I disagree with Pete Hegseth. I think that's ridiculous.
And everybody, with the exception of One American Network, has turned in their press passes.
That's right.
By the way, at the Pentagon. One American Network.
And how does that help? So nobody's reporting on the Pentagon.
That's what Hegseth wants.
They will still be reporting on the Pentagon, but they will not be inside the building reporting on the Pentagon is the difference.
So they'll be watching television.
All the reporters will still be working their sources. They just won't be inside the building working their sources.
They won't be able to verify them.
Hey, we are done with the hour here. This is Talk Radio, WNR Martinsburg and TV 10.